What is going on in the world? Well, African leaders are pointing out the hypocrisy of Western powers. What up, guys? I am Sa Ra Garvey. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe as we get into this one. Now, it has been said that Western powers can be very bullyish when it comes to African nations. And I have seen within the last 10 years, African leaders standing up to Western powers. So, we are going to look at a man by the name of Julius Malema. Who is Julius Malema, I hear you ask? Don't worry. This is who Julius Malema is. Julius Malema, in full, Julius Sello Malema, is a South African politician known for his fiery, outspoken nature and inspiring oratory. He entered the national political arena first as the president 2008 to 2012 of the African National Congress Youth League, and then as the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, the leftist political party that he helped launch in 2013. He became an MP in the National Assembly in 2014. Now, what we are going to watch is an interview that Julius Malema done for the BBC. Now, a lot of people have said stuff about the BBC and the way in which they interview and their agenda and the things that they push. You know, we saw it with Andrew Tate. Didn't really go that well for them. But hey, they're going to interview Julius Malema. Nothing can go wrong, right?
Do you think aligning yourself with Vladimir Putin is going to be good for South Africa?
But that's what it is now. South Africa is in alliance with Russia, with India, with Brazil, with China. So why are you asking me as if it's some policy that is going to be implemented
South Africa right
after
now,
I took over? South Africa is in alliance with Russia now.
South Africa right now calls itself non-aligned.
In the context of the war, but these are two different things. South Africa is an ally of Russia. Now, the second question is, where does South Africa stand on the war? It says I'm a non-aligned in relation to war, but Russia remains South Africa's friend. So we cannot create confusion around there. Don't create an impression that it is Malema who's going to come and create an alliance with Russia.
But there are some very specific...
Actually, I will
go
beyond that. I will go beyond the friendship with Russia, and in the war, I will align with Russia, and I will even supply the weapons to Russia.
What I can see is that the West are clamoring. The West are a little bit scared that African countries are aligning themselves with countries such as China and Russia. And in my personal opinion, I think the reason why they are scared is because it's showing that the world is shifting. It's showing that their tight grip on how the whole world should be is actually slipping, and they don't really like it.
Because Russia is in a war with imperialism, and any agenda that seeks to push back imperialist agendas, it's well within the policies of the EFF.
You say, quite clearly, I would arm Vladimir Putin.
Yes.
You know that the International Criminal Court wants Vladimir Putin to face war crimes charges.
It must start with Tony Blair. It must start with George Bush. It must go to Barack Obama. Then it can go to Putin.
So let's get this straight. You're saying to me that your policy, if you were in power in South Africa, is quite simple. That your enemy's enemy, and it seems you regard the US and its allies as the enemy, your enemy's enemy is your friend. Never mind if he's a suspected war criminal, never mind if the UN and the ICC say they have compelling evidence of Russian war crimes. You don't care. As far as you're concerned, my enemy's enemy is my friend.
The very sneaky way in which they attempted to say that it is Julius Malema aligning with Russia, though he says he does, it was not him that instated the alignment with Russia. When it comes to these reporters and when it comes to the way in which they report, you have to be very turned on. You have to be very switched on to the way in which they attempt to interview people, because they use certain techniques that try to insinuate and infer certain things that actually don't exist.
You're exaggerating, but another point which you don't want me to go there is that Tony Blair accepted that they were wrong about Saddam Hussein to an extent that he did an apology of a thug, right? You have never called for his arrest. A man admitting that I was wrong. To how many people died?
Independent sovereign existence. He appears to believe that the best thing would be to revive an empire, the Soviet empire. But you're anti-imperialist?
We are anti-imperialist. That's a debate for another day. The war is not what he's talking. The war is about the expansion. And had there been a common ground found, this could have been avoided. We are not for imperialism, even if it were to come from Russia. If he does that, we'll condemn it. But we know for a fact that progressive forces such as China have also aligned themselves with Putin to try and create an alternative from the imperialist domination of the world. And that's what the EFF is about.
You admire China, you admire, it seems, Putin. What you seem to have as a vision for South Africa's future is much more along those lines, authoritarianism, than democracy.
No, socialism is not authoritarianism.
So how can you describe China as progressive?
No, it's very progressive. China subscribed to Leninism and Marxism, where the working class control the commanding heights of the economy. And that's what we subscribe for. We are of the means of production being owned and controlled by the states. We want South Africa through the vision and the image of China, where you grow the economy, where you reduce unemployment, where you reduce poverty, and you can't take that away from China. And the state plays the central role with regard to that.
You see, what I find very interesting is that Julius Malema brought up a very poignant point. They want to talk about Putin. Now, a lot can be said about Putin, and they want to say, oh, he has done these war crimes. However, the people that have actually admitted to war crimes have not been arrested. Millions died during the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan for weapons of mass destruction. We were told, if you think back, and this is one of the things I'd say about history, a lot of people have a very short memory when it comes to history. We were told that there were weapons of mass destruction after 9/11, and the US and the UK were going to go and find them because these countries had weapons of mass destruction. Come to find out, they never had any weapons of mass destruction, and they went in killing and bombing and shooting all of these people for something that actually didn't exist. Now, when you make a mistake like that, shouldn't you have to rectify the mistake? Shouldn't you be arrested for your mistake? Shouldn't you be in front of The Hague? Shouldn't you be in front of the Human Rights Court for things like this? No. Do you see how Western powers have a real problem with China and Russia and other peoples aligning themselves with these people as if the only way to live, the only way to think, the only values to have, the only people that are the good guys are the people in the West? It is a totalitarian, arrogant and egotistical stance to take to think that you and only you are the ones who are the good guys, because in everyone's eyes, regardless of who you are the bad guy and the good guy. There are many people that think the West is the good guy. There are many people that think the West is the bad guy. What we have to do is go to the factual information to see how and why people think they are the good guy or the bad guy. But this interviewer consistently and continuously talks about him aligning himself with Russia and China and how it's a bad thing. Look, Julius Malema is allowed to align himself with whoever he wants. You are allowed to align yourself with whoever you want. I am allowed to align myself with whomever I wish. As long as I am not killing, maiming, harming, colonizing, raping, enslaving people, I don't really see the problem. And Julius Malema is not doing any of that. Still, the West still have a problem with him. Why? He wants to see his country do good, looking through the lens like China does, where it grows the economy and makes poverty a thing of the past. Now, do I think China is perfect? No, I don't think China is perfect. Julius Malema is taking parts of what China has done and said, look, this is actually good. This can actually work. Why don't we take what they have there and use it in South Africa? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but the West will continue to try and demonize him because he wants to be different. The West is slowly losing its grip on the world, and it's upset, and it's angry, and it wants everyone to abide by its rules. Otherwise, you are a bad guy, a dictator, a despot, and everything else under the sun. People are allowed to have their differences of opinion. People are allowed to run their country different from the countries within the West. It is what it is. The West needs to really get used to the idea that they are no longer the ones that are the big bully on the block. I have been Sa Ra Garvey. Thank you all for tuning in. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe on your way out the door as we continue to ask ourselves, what is going on in the world? It's getting crazier, it's getting weirder. But I'm going to be here to document it all, and you guys are going to be along for the ride. So, I'm going to catch you on the flip side.